Using new cameras, take one. Probably wore the wrong t-shirt for this one, hang on. Okay, so you've bought a new camera, or maybe you've been handed a camera specifically for one job and you've only got it for a short period of time, but you don't know anything about it and you don't know how to use it. How do you get used to it? There honestly really is no better way to learn than to just start shooting, but I'm going to give you some tips today about how you can kind of speed up the process in understanding, getting to know your camera a little bit better before you start to use it on set. For this video, I'm going to use the FX6 as an example because, well, with these sort of review units that people get sent, that YouTubers get sent, you don't have a lot of time with them. You really just have to pick it up and go for it and get very confident very quickly. So it's the perfect example. First up, don't necessarily read the whole manual. It's probably not really worth it. You're only going to be taking snippets of that information anyway. So if you have any questions while you're setting up the camera, while you're starting to get used to the camera, use it as a point of reference. Don't read the whole thing. That's just my recommendation. You might want to do it differently, but still, I don't think it's worth reading a whole manual because it can be information overload and it just takes up time. The best thing that you can do is get familiar with the layout of the camera, work out where all the buttons are, work out what those buttons do, and also work out what the display says. So on the display, there'll be a bunch of words, symbols, lots of different things. Just work out what all of those things mean so that you know exactly what you're doing. Every camera is different. Every camera has different layouts. Every camera has different functions. It's also sometimes easier for some cameras and not so easy for others. Some buttons are labeled, some are not. Some are function buttons that you can customize. And that's the next thing I would recommend. Customize all those buttons. Work out what features you use the most, what settings you go to the most, and set those custom buttons to those accordingly. That's what's going to make you really agile on set. You're going to know exactly what you need to change. You're going to know where to go to do that. And it's just going to be so quick and easy with the touch of a button. A great feature of the FX6 is it does have a lot of customizable buttons, and that's perfect on a small bodied camera because you can modify it to exactly what you need for whatever situation you're putting it into. When you've got such a small body, you need that extra customization to be able to very quickly find things instead of delving through menus. And that's the next thing I'm going to talk about, and that is actually having a look at the menus. Despite having custom function buttons and having custom menus, which I'll talk about in a second, it is important to know where things are in the menus. That can be more difficult or less difficult depending on the camera, and when it comes to Sony, I've got to say it is more difficult. But what's new? Sony cameras have notoriously always had kind of odd menu systems, a little bit confusing, a little bit convoluted, things kind of hidden in sub-menus and stuff like that. But one feature that they do have on pretty much all of their cameras, I think, is a custom menu feature. So you can add whatever you want to this custom menu. You can put all of your most used features, your most used settings into this menu, and that way you have quick access to it. It really does depend on the situation, but when I'm setting up a quick menu, I tend to look at things like formatting cards, resolution, frames per second. There's a lot of different things that I may very quickly need to switch between, and that's what I tend to put in that list. So you've mapped out your favorite settings to the custom buttons, you've got your custom menu set up, you basically know where all the buttons are, you're kind of familiar with what's going on. Next thing you need to do is just start shooting. There's a couple of different ways you can do this. If you've got a little bit more time, I would recommend just using the camera in any sense, just getting used to it, just playing around with it, shooting whatever, just having fun, because that way you're getting comfortable in your own time, you're getting comfortable in your own environment, it's nothing foreign to you, and you're going to be able to very quickly work out if your custom buttons and if your custom menu work for you. The other option, which is the I don't really have time to do anything, I've got to shoot with this thing tomorrow, is just start doing camera tests. So you have a very specific thing to shoot, do a test specific to that thing. Doing this means you can troubleshoot things that are specific to what you need to do, and that way you can be one step ahead when you jump on set the next day. It doesn't mean all your problems are solved, but you still will have all of that information behind you from the tests that you completed. I wanted to make this video really broad because it's not just about the FX6. Even though the FX6 is a great example for what we're talking about, it can apply to any camera that you use throughout your career. Sincerely, from somebody who's worked in rentals, I've witnessed a lot of people come through rental houses who were hiring something but they didn't really know what they were doing with it, and they didn't take the time to get used to using it, whether it be just on our shop floor, whether it be through prepping the equipment, or whether it be just taking it home and just playing with it and working it out. that sort of set them back on set. And there's been a number of times where that person has called back with issues when they're shooting because they just haven't taken that time to prepare and get to know the camera a little bit more. It happens quite often. It's a lesson learned, so just have a think about it the next time. If you're using a camera that you don't know, take that little bit of extra time to get used to it, to learn where all the features are, to look at all the buttons. And there's a number of resources online that you can use for that as well. I do know that ARRI do have a section on their website where you can actually play through the menus on a fake display. And that is really helpful if you haven't seen an ARRI camera before and you don't really know what you're doing. It can be a good step forward before you actually get hands-on with it. As for Sony, they don't really have something like that. But I would recommend, if you are getting a certain specific camera, seeking out somebody who either has one or just contacting a rental house and seeing if you can come in and just have a play. If they're anything like the ones I've experienced in Australia, they're going to be very welcoming and they're going to be totally fine with you coming in and having a play with a camera. Link of the week this week is the Trans Day of Remembrance, which did happen this week. And I wanted to highlight this because I think it's a really important thing. It's a day to remember those who have lost their lives to anti-trans or gender diverse violence. So I'm going to leave a bunch of links down below so you can go read up on it, learn about it, and just be generally informed because it's an important thing to be a good ally if you're not trans or gender diverse. And if you are trans or gender diverse, hi, how you doing? I hope you're well. I hope where you're living, your current situation is a safe one, and I wish you all the best. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that video, and I'll see you next time.